Call this meeting to order and we'll start with the pledge.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Do you have anybody online? I don't see anybody there. Well, we will start with a couple announcements and the standard announcements. The meeting is open to any interested member of the public. Agendas are prepared for the meeting. Agendas may be requested by email from the board secretary and are available online. Agenda packets, due to their size, will not be printed off for the meetings or at public expense if requested. The public can access and view the agenda packet online and can download them or print them at their own expense also. We are carried by Zoom and there is a link on our website to get to it. I'd like to remind everybody that all proceedings are recorded and you will be on camera. Please speak clearly and look at the monitor. Please state your name first and spell your last name. With that, I'd like to welcome everyone and our guest. Welcome. And the secretary could take the roll.
Greg,
Here.
Pam, here, Jeff,
Here.
Ming,
Here.
Tom,
Here.
Frank,
Here.
Steph.
Yep. Okay, first item on the agenda is actually if any member of the public wants to be heard on any subject that is not on the agenda, please have them come forward and state their name and. Evelyn, you have anything? No. Okay. Board will not take any action on any of those if we had any. Approval of the minutes for the meeting. Are there any additions or corrections to the minutes? If not, I'd ask for approval of the minutes.
So moved.
Second. Been moved and seconded. Second. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Move then to the consent agenda. Prepaid bills, income statements, spend statements, budget statement. Are there any additions or corrections? Tom?
In the packet, there is a Western Municipal Bill starting mark to be held, but the consent agenda, there's no item on it.
Right.
For that thing, so can we have the unpaid bill consent agenda?
Should have. I have it penciled in on old business because it's not in the bill as presented. There is,
We'll take it up later, right?
yeah, there's a change in the bill.
So we're gonna take it up under number 3 on old business.
Right.
I move to amend the agenda to have Western Municipal Bill item 3 on old business.
Okay, we have a second.
Second.
Well, it's just penciled in. Any discussion? Two or four? All in favor?
Oh, I do have two questions on the consent agenda.
We're on moving the.
Oh, moving it, okay,
Western
sorry.
Municipal Bill to the older item on old business right now. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion passes unanimously. Back to consent agenda, you had something on that, Pam?
Yeah, on page 11, there's a check for $11,280.50 for healthcare serve OB payment. What is that? Jen, do you know?
I'm sorry, what is it?
It's page 11. There's a check for $11,280.50 for healthcare serve OB payment.
I do not.
a significant amount of money, and I've never seen a bill like that. Who would know? Okay, so
You know what, it was. What, account item it was on now?
well, it's page 11, so I get back to page 11. It's really hard to move up and down in the packet. So it's on the First Interstate bill. It's on the First Interstate statement. It's the last line, and it says healthcare serve OB payment.
It appears itemized on page 23 of the consent agenda. Where it clearly says it's health insurance, Blue Cross Blue Shield payment. Paid on 7/24.
Any other questions? Thank you, Tom.
I do have one question.
Go ahead.
So page 18 shows the STIP balance at 261,000. Page 28 shows the STIP balance at 1,264,399. I'm assuming the 1 million is the correct statement, but it seems like our financial record should show the correct amount. So who does the,
Page 18,
yeah,
I see Stiefel, there's still, that was the because that was the transfer from the savings account that we closed was $261,000.
okay, but shouldn't we be,
It went two step, and that was
That was
I think-
done at the very end.
stip, yeah, stip hadn't been added to Black Mountain yet, so this is,
That was
There
done
is.
after the month done, so we already the insurance, right?
yeah.
So it was done after the book closed.
So yes, the stip.
31.
so the 1,264,000 was transferred after July
That was,
No,
the $261,000 was transferred after July.
Okay, but somewhere, but on our balance sheet, we should be showing the correct amount for STIP.
not 7/31.
Not for July, if. And I
What's that?
probably pulled the August, it might have been in August, well, no, it wouldn't have been August, it would have been July.
It has. Okay, well, I'll watch again next month, because we
It
don't
should
have,
show up next month.
yeah, we don't have a correct thing. And the other thing that I mentioned, that I noticed from the minutes is that you're keeping 90 days of cash here, earning nothing. When we can get money back from STIP in 24 hours and earn over 5%. So
Right,
we
that's-
really,
That's our goal. That
Okay.
one of the problems is that we're still missing bills from the city.
nope, they're in.
Not that we've received,
I thought Susie
We have
sent them
we
out.
got May,
You got Maze, that's.
Okay, okay.
But like last month, I restated the statements were coming to that. And at the new rate, that's over $500,000.
Right,
But the city is not sending us any bill. And we have to have the cash, but if they take 30 days to send us the bill, legally, we should have 30 days to pay for it. So if they're late, we can pay late, so we should put the money aside for
That-
30 days.
That's what because
I'm making a note.
the city has said they won't charge any late fees. And they do have all the bills out, except there are 7,000 bills that they have to process one by one. And ours is probably one of the one by one bills.
No, that's a good note.
Yeah.
Anything else on the consent agenda? Seeing nothing, I would, accept the motion to approve consent agenda as presented.
So many,
How it is moved, is there a second? Okay. Greg, a second. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Unanimous. Approved. Financials. And that's where the stipple. Page 28. I think we just discussed that, didn't we? Tom, go
I
ahead.
move to accept the financial statements.
Great. Second. Greg seconded. Discussion at all? All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Unanimous. Management report. Mr. Anderson?
Frankly, we had another busy, month. And I'd like to start with, our employees. We have 8 employees, one is still out sick. And, we are looking for one, and Josh and I had a perfect candidate. But we never heard from them again, so. Good people we call up. That's what's wrong with you. But, it's a problem. The next thing, the water, sales are up 23.9% above last year. So that's a healthy growth, and I would assume the hot weather, the dry this year. The revenues, the dollars and cents are up by 15.8% over last year. Now, the expenses are up, and that's not shown in your Black Mountain. We're coming to the financial statement afterwards, I think. But anyway, the expenses are up 32.8%. Why? Because we purchase more water than we normally do, 65.8% up. So if you take the water purchases up out of our operating expenses, quickly look at our operating expenses, they're actually down 33.9% versus last year. And
Question.
yeah, sorry.
You said we use 23% more water this year or this month, but we only have 15% increase in finance.
Yeah.
Wouldn't they kind of run hand in hand if you use 23%?
Well,
water?
Some of the water, depending on the time of day, they go into the tanks, that's 8 million gallons.
No, the usage of the water.
Yeah, the usage.
Yeah, our usage is up 23%, you said.
But our bill to the city was also up, so that eats into the profit.
Yeah, I'll have a little handout for you here. And I will show you what it is.
Because with our rate increase in December, we should be showing a little bit more market increase in revenue.
Mr. President,
Oh, excuse me, yes, Tom.
if we bought whatever percent more water to the city, our expenses won't go up the same. Because our expenses are total a whole lot more. The water purchase is around 50% of our expenses.
I'm talking about, well, it said that the usage of water is 23% increase. Which means you and me and Doug and everybody else sitting at the table use 23% more this year.
But
And our
Right.
rates went up in December, so I would like to see that 15% revenue increase closer to that 23 because of the increase in rates.
Did you
So,
get one?
that,
Well, yeah.
if you look at the very top there, you can see water sold, and that's 4,000. So we got 15.7% more per thousand water sold. COGS is at 297. Now, we're billing ourselves 307, which is the new rate, but we haven't seen that invoice yet. So that's 3.4% that is not working in our favor. Now gallon purchased 101 million, last year 106, or this year 168, that's 65% increase. And what we sold was 23.9%. So those numbers need to be verified with the city. These are our own readings. And we build ourselves here to come up with these numbers. And if you can look at the first item there, water purchase under the description, it's 80% higher, $231,000 more this year versus July of last year. That's an incredible increase. So part of it is quantity, part of it is the cost itself. You have two components, usage and the expense of it.
Yeah, are the dates the same though? Or do we have a discrepancy in dates and when?
It could be,
That's quite high unless we're taking the readings out at a different time.
We take the readings last,
All of the.
last business day of the month.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes. Director Smith.
But it strikes me, if you look at just that chalk chart that's in yellow,
Mhm.
I don't see how we purchased less water in July of 23 than we sold on a gallon basis. So there's gotta be some timing issues. I can see where we buy more and sell less due to a
well,
loss in the system. Or, but that
what,
should average out over time.
Correct. And some of that was due to that was before Peyton had requested that our billing schedule get moved because we were getting billed mid-month. So you had like half of June and half of July rather than all of July.
I recall that now. That was a big discussion last fall.
Yeah.
So that would be a timing explanation.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And last June was
one,
really helpful.
one big thing here too is that May's bill gets into June. Now, this July, we took all of July number. We're comparing it with June of last year. So those are the real number. We would know to do that and a Black Mountain software. We're always 1 month behind when it costs to their COGS, the cost is. I mean, in my business, you can't do that. You gotta reflect what happened here in that business month, but we're not doing that. We're taking the last bill and call it cost of goods sold for the department. So we can make adjustments. We can get a little more sophisticated than we are here.
Are we carrying higher volumes in the storage?
No, but it's a big difference in usage. The number you see here, 500,000, is actually what happened in July. That the 286,000 is not what happened in July, what happened in June of last year. So it's not apples to apples. I just thought of that.
Yes, Director Esplin?
Yeah. I can, as I've disclosed, I have a bulk water business that serves people that haul their water out in Blue Creek. I can tell you the sales pattern there in terms of this July versus last July is very similar to this in terms of a gallon sold increase. It's a dramatic increase, and there'd been some increase based on customer growth. My first 6 months, but July was much greater, and I think that was simply due to weather conditions.
Go ahead, Frank.
So Jeff, you're saying that you run similar last July to this July?
No, it was up significantly, just like this.
But see, and then the people that are getting water from you is mostly domestic use, not as much lawn watering as you would probably see here.
I can tell you I think it does reflect watering use because my summer sales are a fact of multiples times my winter sales. So it's the same similar pattern. I don't think they've got
3 acre lawns like that in some of the neighborhoods in the heights. Cause they have to haul it.
Yeah.
And fuel is expensive, but they do whatever they're watering, their flowers, their gardens, they are fine.
Let's see, like rain, we have lots of hockey farmers that don't have cattle water this year, they have a whole lot of their cattle. So again, Jeff sales are,
Yeah, that makes sense.
it's a dry year compared to last.
Okay, Noel, you want to continue with the report?
Sorry for the interruption.
No, that's why we have this meetings. This is why Josh and I are here to answer the questions. But we are on a healthy trend when it comes to gross margin and covering our fixed expenses. Our expenses are down. Our revenue per 1,000 gallons sold is up. So that's all good. And that's what our budget calls for. Operating expenses, as I mentioned, water purchase, 80%. Number two, engineering fees, we had almost $20,000 in engineering fees in July. Last year we didn't. Meter repair, 13,000. We didn't have any last year. So some of these are timing issues, totally timing issues. Those were the big ones. On the positive note, last year we had a $94,000 insurance. We paid $13,000 this year. Directors and officers liability insurance. That was an $80,000 windfall. So I think as we go into the year-to-date number will be more important than just a snapshot of one month. But I just like to say that if you take the purchase of water out, our total expenses are down 69,800 or 33.9%. And that is very good. Would you like, I have a copy of all our expenses if you're interested in that. And I sorted it based on the Aldridges.
Is that this?
Yeah, but that. Yeah, the end game is the same, except that I sorted it based on the expense overrun.
Oh, okay.
So from that, I like to look at what are the big changes? And every month it's a different thing, but as we get into the year, they should average out the year to date. But on a month-to-month basis, you will have these hiccups based on what we're paying the bill.
I do have a question on, paying bill and stuff on, item 236, water main line repair. We had, problems at River Oaks last month, and I don't see any charges on there at all. Also on permits, we had, 2 openings there, and there are no charges for permits or anything there either.
Will that be a timing issue, Josh? I don't know about that one.
You know, the water main liner, that was all stuff we had on hand, at least we repaired the stuff that was in our inventory. So there wouldn't be anything there. Not as, the water main liner, that'd be which one, because there's.
Over on River Oaks.
Yeah, I know, it's,
You had to open up
I got some, I'm talking about coded.
this one.
Not that one.
This opening was, River Oaks.
Yeah, no, it's the water main and liner, so that's when I have to buy. And stuff we repaired it with stuff we already had on hand. And permits, I've heard nothing from when I called the engineering office about it, so.
And we don't have, when we buy or Josh buys something, it's expense, it's not put in the inventory. We don't have a LIFO, first one in, first one out. So,
It was just stuff we had that, yeah, we keep it running, stuff on hand so that we can just fix it and not have to rely on, well, here's the problem, now go get parts. And what we had to fix there was,
Rather than repair. water main line.
That's part of the accounting codes. That's just what it's labeled. So.
So no labor goes into that.
Mhm.
Where is the labor charged to?
There is no labor because we fixed it ourselves. Our guys went and did it.
Right, but that's labor, is it, why is it not charged to line repair? So we know what line repair is costing us.
But we don't
We've
price a
never-
job, we don't have direct labor, direct material, the overhead by job.
Yeah, we've never broke it down that
No.
I had an operator in the seat for 7 hours for this job, and then a trench hand for 7 hours and a truck driver for 5.5. We've never broke it down that way.
Well, I asked that question because we're charging customers $1.30 a month for line repair.
Cause it basically, it mirrors the same city policy. It's in the,
How do we know if we're losing money and we need to charge more? Or if we're making too much money?
it's been, yeah, we've never,
What we could do, Doug, is figuring out what is the cost? It's $1.30, is it $1.35 or $1.25? We can look into that based on our job. I can see, apparently, some time ago, we did our own installations. Josh mentioned that to me today. Where we do a job, we hot tap some line. And we did the whole thing, material work, and we had the, extensive equipment, as you've seen in the garage. We don't do that anymore. But when you do a job, you kind of price it out on how many hours it's supposed to take, and you allot that, then you have the variation in cost, in labor, and you expense that in the private sector. But in our thing, anything will be on your locates, Josh. We get about 300 to 400 locates a month, and our guys spend a lot of time on those things. How much do they cost us? That's something we can figure out. But a job, we never know what the job is, and when the job presents itself, we don't sit down the first thing and figure out how much it's gonna cost us. Our job is to fix it, but we can figure out, because we get the bills on the locates, and the guy spends an awful lot of time on those. How much do they cost us? What do we charge? I don't know. Josh, am I barking up the wrong tree here?
no, there's a line item for what locates cost.
Director Esser?
Well, I think we need to keep in mind that sometimes if you want to track how every dime is spent, sometimes you can end up spending a lot more time in accounting tracking things than on the immaterial expenses. You know, the things which we need to track are things that are material, significant, and might threaten the health of the district financially. And I'm not, I think that would be an area where our general manager could make a recommendation saying, if we can track these are material. We don't need to track these because they're immaterial. If they're, I could, for example, when I had my dry cleaning business, track what every hanger cost. But I did, because my supply in terms of my sales were like 5 or 6%, as long as that category.
But you had a category for it.
Yes,
So,
and I tracked the category, but I didn't have to track every anchor in order
No.
to do just the group. So that's the
What
question.
I'm saying though is that on labor.
Yeah.
There should be different numbers for different things, one number for locates, one number for repair, one for customer,
Right.
one for, you know, there should be different account numbers.
Right, and the balance would be indirect. You can't allocate something, we call it indirect. And we want to keep that obviously at a minimum, because indirect labor, you can't bill anyone. It's just going, stopping. But the $1.30, we can figure out if it's $1.40 or $1.35 or something. So what we are charging the customer, we can actually account for it rather than grab $1.30 in the air. We can do that. But as far as tracking, Josh is the operations guy, and I don't see too many guys sitting around here. They are out doing what they're doing. We can figure that out. We can put all sorts of devices on their trucks and food. But what is it we're trying to achieve? Number one, we got to service the customer, but we do it efficiently and cost effective. And that, we can't put a number on. We don't know.
So we do need to know how much it does cost to serve our customers.
So we can do that. Right, Josh, we can figure out some way. I don't know how the $1.30 is arrived at.
Me,
I just think that's a waste of time. If it's in-house, do it in-house. Otherwise, we'll be sitting out and pick up and say, well, I spent 2 hours doing this thing. And, you know, if they're there, they can figure it out, but rather than putting a timeline on it and charge a cost to every
Yeah.
program we have out there, we're asking for our people that are working here to share their computers with them at all times. And after they're finished, they spend another half hour to figure out what they did. So I just think it's extra paperwork.
My experience is that you set a standard,
Sure.
let's say for a locate, you got 15 minutes to do. Well, once you set those standards, everybody will do it in 15 minutes because they know what the standard is. So it's a double-edged sword. Once you establish, and when you really control a person,
you don't want,
the end result sometimes is not. So we let, in our factory, kind of have the people set the standard they felt comfortable with. It seems wacko. Why don't you beat them over the head? And no, what is it? And you have a kind of an agreement on what, and we can count on that to a decimal point, what the production would be. And everybody was happy, everybody, the workers happy, everybody was happy. But the idea of telling somebody, we allow you 5 minutes to do this, it will be 5 minutes forever.
Yeah, I'm going to a doctor's office, okay? They have a little timer where, you know, when you play chess,
Yeah,
they've got to be out of there in 15 minutes, you know?
Yeah.
And it got to the point where the doctors said, the hell with you guys. I got somebody here that's got a problem.
Yeah.
And if we start charging me 15 minutes, I gotta go out there, hit that button, hit it again. So I'm not getting done with what I need to do. So what they were expecting was expectations, see 4 patients in an hour. You know, and some people, they can get done in 5 minutes, and other people, they were there for a whole hour. So the problem was that we put them on timers and,
okay,
yeah, okay, well, we probably.
I made a note on that.
Yep. Go ahead. Report.
Yeah, the only thing other than that is the text item, that the policies, we've been working on them. And the service line replacements. And I think that's the next item on the agenda. Do you have any questions for me about the performance of the July?
Right,
Did you get everything settled with, state engineering as far as how they bill us? Work with them on that.
More than once, yes. We do have some issues they're working on, as you know. and the system evaluation and the task order 28. I think we're getting into that when you put it in the report. But as far as the billing, they cannot bill specifically for cars. And we have very, very specific arrangements with them, and I asked them to produce a report graphically, so our board member can see when do we pass a milestone, a marker, how far are we away from achieving our goal? And I believe that is in the report here.
Yeah, it's near the end.
On follow, is Western Municipal content with the money we paid them last month?
That's also on the agenda. We have some more details on that.
Yeah.
But did you see the timeline specifically?
That's
I
on
think-
what page?
Oh, okay.
It's the whole report.
But that's not in the packet.
No.
It's not in the packet. So I asked him, you send us these bills, yeah, we read them, but we don't understand them. Once a month, you try to figure out what's going on. So but you don't have that in the packet. I'll make sure.
No, the interstate engineering report is in the packet, it just isn't referenced. On Monday, just a whole bunch of stuff gets dumped in the packet without any reference on the agenda. It's in there. It's toward the end. It's in there somewhere, but
Okay,
the agendas are really not okay still. They're very difficult because they're not sequential to how the agenda goes.
Engineering starts on,
it's page 75. Is that,
some of it up here.
but I don't think. I don't think the flow chart is in
No,
there.
it's not.
Okay.
All the nerves.
I mean, this is what I've been fighting with them. One thing is to charges a lot of money. The other thing is explain to us what you're doing to it. So this gives you itemized. Item by item, and where they are on each one of those. And, for instance, task order, the system-wide PER, we're 74% done on, and, task order 28, we're 88% done. So these are things that I think graphically will help our board to figure out where are we, when is this thing going to end, and what's the process? So you will have that. Sorry you didn't get it.
Somebody wants it right now, I can hand this one to them.
Mr. Chairman,
Tom had his hand up.
No problem.
Go ahead.
In the past, previous managers of their, let's see, monthly report, reported on breakages, where they were, focus fixed. We're talking about a breakage here, someplace with higher than 30 dollars per tax. But in the future, could you let us know about all of the leaks that
Yeah.
are repaired, where they are? If it's a service line and address, something like this, we see that monthly as it comes up, is that the company? I was just assuming we haven't had any breaks or leaks to fix because we haven't heard of. But, no, I haven't heard of one.
Nothing,
At a meeting, other than when we hired Western for quite a few months. Could you put that
Well,
back in your monthly report?
yeah, in your report, I don't think you have this in your report, but as you know, one of our goals here is to try to determine the age of our piping condition so we can replace it. So we will be talking about VODA here quite soon. And part of their request for them to do the job, a lot of their input into their formula depends on failure. What kind of failure do you have on the main line and the curb stop hydrants, et cetera? So we went back here, I think this is 7 years, and we had 281 cases, majority, 51 cases are service line. Only 4%, 4.3 have to do with the main line. So we will update this. They need that information because it's computer generated. If you don't put any information out. So we,
Director Ashby,
that's,
did you have a question?
Well, I would just ask the general manager to establish a deadline for interstate engineering to give you their narrative reports and the flow chart report that at least 1 week, at least a full week prior to the board meeting, so that it can be uploaded. Or
Right.
in the packet. When it comes in at the last minute, that's why we don't get it.
no, yeah,
So this one didn't come in till 5 days before this meeting, so that's the problem.
Yeah, stated the 16th, but
If you just need to establish a deadline for those guys.
Bo, did you ask them to eliminate windshield time from our bills?
that's quite, very specifically, and also name the individual.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
I had a question. One of the things I noticed in their report, or in their minutes somewhere, is that when there was a question for DEQ, Lowell was assigned to make the call. And I would feel more comfortable if you made the call. I mean, for 2 reasons. One, he bills out at $365 an hour or $235. But the other reason is it just makes, it's like playing telephone. Every time you pass on the information, it's a little less accurate. You certainly have the knowledge of valves and stuff, so I'm not sure why he would be making the call when the question was about the second meter connection.
Right. So Lowe has a relationship with this individual at DEQ. He took a little longer time than he should, and it was a very unique situation. I kind of half knew the answer. We were trying to finesse this installation by using a different type valve. You heard me talk about it. So it was not just a black and white thing. It was two professional talking about a very professional thing. And if he charged $360 on that pole, that was okay, because that was the kind of level of that phone conversation. I do not belong in that conversation because both of those guys respect each other, a very high degree technical knowledge. And they know what I want. I want the solution. I want to do it my way. That does not necessarily work. So you got to let the professional do their thing. And in this very unique circumstance, I had no problem with that. The only thing he did, and I told him, this is timing is emissions. And I kind of blamed Brad a little bit for this. The response time, it could have been done a lot faster. But deep down, I kind of know the answer because out east, California, Texas, you couldn't do it. But I noticed in Montana, there's a lot of things you can do. So I think it was a close call, and they took their time deciding on it. And I did get some documentation from Lowe of why not. And unfortunately, the end result was not great, but the line of communication with DEQ, as far as I'm concerned, was okay. And it was 350 or 500. It was okay. It was worth it, because if it was successful, great. It would have been fantastic, but that was not the case. I was involved here, excuse me, but it was a very unique situation.
You have a conflict of interest policy.
Yes.
Mr. Chairman, what page is the?
31.
So that conflict of interest part on the 31. Was the old one from July 18, unfortunately. And the latest version, corrected version was not put in there. You guys had some comments about the hotline. You remember what hotline? So we eliminated that. And one of you also recommended definition of conflict of interest. It's not just limited to personal disemployment, but any complaint. So I changed that. So there was 2-3 things in there specifically. Other than that, I think you liked it.
Any questions on the conflict of interest?
I
Yeah.
have one, I missed this one because I'm the one that complained about the other one.
Yeah.
And I was really disappointed to see it in there again. But the recusal process is weird to me. I mean, typically, if there's a conflict of interest.
Yeah.
You just say, I need to recuse myself from the vote. You don't leave the room. I mean. There's no, I mean, so if we're voting on the cost, which Jeff did, we were voting on the cost of him buying water for his business, he just recused himself from voting on that rate, but he didn't leave the room. It doesn't make any sense. And no, in no other public body have I ever seen anybody leave the room.
It doesn't say you have to leave the room, it says such as leaving the room, so it could be any. It'd be a good time to go to the restroom if you have to.
But some of the stuff obviously is important, some is less important, and some of it can go either way. But an interest of having a policy, we have nothing right now. So are we gonna have ideal policies in the future?
No, I understand, but
You know.
that just seemed weird and I missed it when I read it the first time.
Right, but we can put in the revision to be updated, but passing the policy, I think, is more important than absolutely rolling policy.
Mr. Chairman,
Director Ashby?
move to adopt the conflict of interest policy revision dated
Second.
08/21/2024.
Point of order, we were just handed this. And we have a Montana Supreme Court decision that prevents governing body from acting on paperwork that the public has not had 48 hours to review. None of us have had 48 hours to review this, we were just handed. So technically, this is out of order for us to vote on tonight because it's not been available for 48 hours. We should move on.
And will be moved to the September agenda.
But can't you make a resolution during a meeting without paperwork?
No, time's correct. It's in violation of the law.
Okay.
That's why,
Because in the private sector, anybody can make a resolution.
yeah, but this, Montana has, I mean, it's based on federal FOIA
Yeah.
laws, but Montana's more strict.
Okay.
Well, that's it, that one's done.
It's going.
Okay, no problem.
Service line replacement policy.
Well,
That we do before.
okay, I think you'll have the same thing there.
Our copy is 7/25/23. Okay,
Unfortunately, you have the same issue.
yes, that'll be moved to September also.
I do have a question as long as you're on.
Director Ashby?
So, is this a continuation of our current policy that drove the cost of the Wix line replacement so high, or is this a change?
Well, I think that the Wicks lane was the basis for this policy because we don't have a policy,
Right.
you know? So it's as we're learning, we put together a policy. And the policy specifically here centered around the service line replacement. Why do we have to replace the service line when we're replacing the main? And to Frank's point is that we should have a policy where it's not automatic, it should be reviewed by somebody.
So this proposal provides
Well-
flexibility to you as manager?
Well, what we're saying in four, specifically the service line replacement in 4A, depending on the age, condition of replacement, the entire service line. So you have to consider, somebody has to consider the condition, the age of the service line before just replacing everything. And to Frank's point, it could be up to over 30% of the replacement cost. So it's an important consideration when you establish policy that you don't do it carte blanche, without, regards to cost.
So that you get the short answer is does it provide you more flexibility would be yes. Is that?
Right, and Frank brought this up.
Thank you.
It's
That's all I needed to know.
right.
Okay, going on to that 4B, I think that is not a strong enough statement. We said last, in our work section today, WWA recommends replacement and all that. But, there's a lot of utilities that don't replace it. And they just couple, and maybe we should research with those other public utilities that do it that way and find out what their repeat calls are on those replacements. And if you look at age, most utilities don't replace water mains unless there's a reason for it, and it's usually age. And so those service lines are probably pretty old, and so it's not near as bad going on a gravel street, no curb and gutter, no
Yeah.
sidewalk, and maybe not even concrete driveways. Then if you're doing it, I'm going, okay, I can go along with that because the cost is gonna outweigh the benefits. But the benefits need to far outweigh the costs to do it if there's curb and gutter, sidewalk and concrete driveways. When you're looking at 30%, and we're looking at 48 miles of pipe that we might be looking at replacing in the future. And I believe that's the first time we've replaced any mains in the Heights, isn't it? When did we replace them?
No, there was an entire section on Stillwater that was replaced in 2006.
Okay, but I think we need to, interview a few other public utilities and find out how they're doing it. And if there's a big callback on service lines because they did it the way they did it.
Well, we have an exposure here in that the AC pipe, based on our files, are over 60 years old. Well, that means the service lines are 60 years old. And part of those valves are leaded valves too, correct? The service-
Well, that's not the biggest issue. The biggest issue is if you look at what our repair log consists of,
Over
service lines.
50%,
It's not main line, it's service line.
over 50% of service line repair.
So that's what fails, not the mains. Generally,
May I recommend something? We don't have anything in place right now.
Right.
This policy is better than nothing. We can work on policy, and as I mentioned last time, we put a policies on review. So that like every 3 years or whatever you decide, I would suggest 3 years, they come up for review. And if somebody says, oh, that's good, let's let it fly. And it comes in for a review every 3. So you don't have these policies that are 20, 30 years old and people wonder, what were they doing? Were they sitting in the woods somewhere? So the whole idea is have renewal, changes. And whatever we write in this policy, trust me, within a few years, it should be changed. We call out special material and standard. These things do change. But right now, what I found out at Billing Heights here, you have very few policy about anything. And the problem there's no work or work, I had an ISO company for over 40 years, the international standard. So you document what you do and you do what you document. And the latest version, 2008 version, is document what you're doing, do what you document. And number 4, is it effective? Writing a whole search of documents and things is not the answer. you have to determine how effective is your documentation. So writing all this stuff doesn't mean anything unless it's actually used and practical and actually help you do the business and help the customer. So in that spirit, we should fall with the customer and have policy that favor us running a good business in a responsible way. So the ideal policy, doesn't exist. We gotta have something to hang our hat on. We can always improve it, we can improve it. But you guys are seeking perfection in anything we do here. It's not gonna happen. It's not gonna happen. It's a journey and it will never end. The journey will never end. And we gotta work together, getting more of these hooks in the wall to climb on.
Well, like you said, 281 ranks, leaks, whatever. 50% is service lines. 4.3% is main. If we replace the main line with 51% of our work being service lines, we're coming back and redigging it to replace the service lines. I agree with both. This needs to stay in the policy. But again, we have a policy just handed out. If we vote on it tonight.
We can't vote on it.
Yeah.
No, can't.
So let's move on if we can.
I have a question. And I read it last night and I didn't reread it today, but so for the lead valves, when we find the lead valves, are we always updating them and putting in lead free?
Well, we have to document the lead leaching in the homes and publish that.
Doing that right now.
One specific valve, the valves we have in the ground, most of them, you could not buy today. They would not sell, they would not be ASA approved. American Society of Sanitary Engineers or AWWA, NSF, they just would not be approved. Should you replace that valve? Do you have a duty to the customer to replace that valve? Is it a health reason? It adds to the lead reading, but we do not have a lead reading issue that we have to report and publish in the paper. We don't.
But that isn't my question. My question is when you have an issue that you're working on, do we always change the lead valve out and put in new and modern ones? I'm not saying
Well,
we
that's
don't
the
go all of them.
policy.
Yeah,
That's the
so when we have a
policy.
service line break. Most of it, the vast majority is tough tube. It's the first generation poly. And it was the greatest thing since sliced bread when they first put it in. It hasn't aged so well. So when we have those leaks, it's been, since before I started here, they adopted the policy of if it's tough tube, we're gonna go down. If it's in the wintertime, we'll patch it and then come back in spring, or if it's when we can get asphalt, we're gonna dig down at the main and we'll dig down at the curb stop in the yard and we'll pull a brand new service line through. We replace the curb stop, the curb box, we don't replace the core, but we replace the fitting that attaches the service line to the core. Most of the time, we don't mess with the core because then you're shutting down the entire main. Some of those are direct tapped into the main, so we're not gonna mess with those. And even if it's into a saddle, again, you're shutting down the entire main, putting a bunch of people out of water for no reason. But
We'll move on to our follow-up policy. Has that one changed since what we got in?
That one, should be.
If that one's updated, yeah.
That's the 815.
815, page 35. So. This was probably the third or fourth revision Josh and I did. The original revision was kind of written to somebody who took off the street and we wanted to put to work. So this is a little softer, a little more explicit. But here again, it's a journey. We got to fine tune it. It's a work.
Any questions on the follow-up policy?
And this is what I would call, this is not what I call the work document, which means the employees have to be trained on this. And we will have others, hopefully others, what our servicemen should be doing, you know. When they work with certain tools, certain processes to document what is the correct way or what we need to do. So I would not recommend that you board member go down to that level of document, the policy level, yes, but actually the work or how we conduct the work. You know, how we put the shovel in the ground, how we start out the ditch wig out there and it's like, you just want to make sure it's done according to the overall policy, which means we got to conduct our business safe, professionally, on time.
Frank, you had a question?
Yeah, on 2D, that fire line inspections, what does that entail, Bo?
It's not going into San Bernardino.
No, I know that, my point is, where's the valve in the street? Do you have the location for it, and is it workable?
Right.
Those are two things that I think are really important because of the
Right.
volume of water.
Right. This just tells us that this is scheduled and assigned work orders during the on-call week. So it's not gonna say this is the main title. You have all kinds of steps under that. So if they need to do that, Bo will do that, write it out, or Josh will write it out, because this is a day-to-day operating policy.
Yeah, we do have another work order, and I think I showed it to you guys, and you said, hey, why don't you put in verifying the GIS and also on the map. You remember that? And that's not included. That's not included in this packet, and it will answer your question about the hydrant and also cleaning out the
Debris and
Making sure they're out.
yeah, and we have that, that's not part of this document.
Okay.
But that's a separate, and that's a direct result of that incident.
Great.
Are there many private fire hydrants in
Yeah, we
the
got-
county water district, private ones?
Yeah.
Because I had to take care of one on some county property. And we had to call a fire service company and fire sprinkler company and test them ourselves. We were responsible for them. It wasn't up to the city of Billings or the fire department, it was up to the owner. Is that the same situation here in the water district?
We have lots of private, like Windsor Estates, Cherry Creek Estates, Rush Meadows and Lake Illinois, all of their fire stuff is private. It's not ours.
Jeff?
I've got a sprinkler system in one basin of a building I manage and owners, owners responsible for getting that thing tested on the appropriate basis. So it's the same kind of policy, I guess.
Normally, the insurance company will insist that you have it tested if it's part of your insurance program, then make sure you have it tested.
Mr. Chairman,
Director Espen, go ahead.
I'm gonna move to adopt this policy as a good start.
Okay, do you have a second?
Yep.
Second by Frank. Any further discussion on the call-out policy?
Shouldn't we actually modify the motion to say we approve resolution 021-34, which approves the policy? It's on page 71.
Good catch.
Yeah.
So amended.
Okay, thank you.
Second amendment.
All in favor of said motion, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Resolution. Move on to the wage recommendation on page 36.
Yeah, I had only submitted in the packet a proposal that would keep our salary rates within the 4.95%. That was approved in the budget back in June 19. But I know that there are some concern about the wages are based, and also with the recent development at the city level. And I think that the overall increase of 3.92% is within the 4.9 for 5%. But the distribution is different. In the private sector, this is not uncommon where you reward people a little different than others, but this documentation we're looking at is official, it's not private, so all of our employees know about these rates. And you get the feedback, you like it or not, there's always feedback when it comes to salaries real quick. So I discussed this with Josh, and what I like to propose is going back to the 4.95% across the board. Could you give everybody that? So here again, it's not in your packet, unfortunately. But this is late development. And it is consistent with your budget that you already have approved, should you like to propose it. So it would be about 3.85% in the salary. As you know, the Metro Teamster, they went up 8.5. The city of Building, similar description, job descriptions as our servicemen, we are still about 8 to 10% lower than they are. Any questions or comments on
Mr. Chairman. Go ahead, Frank. Go. I like your second one a lot better because the original one, you didn't have the entry level raise, and in our work session, we were told that you can't get anybody to come to work here because they don't get paid enough. And that entry level.
Yeah.
Will take care of that, but the other thing I don't agree with, and that is you do not belong in that pay scale because you skew the average and you are salaried and board directly besides your wages.
right?
So you need to be taken completely out of that and refigured with you not in there.
Right. Now, if you do that, the budget wise, it would not,
That's what I'm saying.
it will change anything. Why? Because it's figured on the 4.2%. But that's no problem.
But with your wage and you being in there, you're on a salary, not an hourly, so. You skew the whole system. And so
Absolutely.
you need to be taken out of there and it has to be refigured without you in it, but I like the fact that you did include the entry level person. Because that determines how much that person you can offer. When you're looking for a job, when you're trying to hire somebody. That's my.
Well, I just have two comments. When I was reviewing comparable salaries, I tried to compare city staff with 5 years on the job. District staff was similar time, and from my perspective, the in-house staff was, based upon the way I looked at the numbers, was compensated at levels lower than than the city water district, for example, or the city comparable employees. But the field staffs are compensated more. So, I'm not sure, I don't like the policy, but same across the board thing, because it just continues that inequity. The second reason I'll be a no vote if this comes to a motion, is that I think we're still missing out in terms of the total compensation back. Because it varies quite a bit based upon the pension and then the health. And, you know, I don't think, as I said, I think globally, every employee should be treated fairly, including the health and the wage and the pension compensation. If they had a cafeteria type plan, which I argued would be more appropriate, then they could spend the money, you know, direct the money as they see fit, but they're all being compensated at the same level. Some right now, in my judgment, are, you know, receiving a lot more paying benefits than others are, for reasons that have nothing to do with their work. And I think that's a bad policy in general. It's not a policy that's followed by any other local government or water district in this county. So for that reason, I'll be, you know, I don't think this is an appropriate policy, and I will vote pass it.
Frank brought up entry level. And you're using Braden Maxwell, is he an entry level? So you only got 8 employees and you need another one. The new man will receive the 2445 under alternate proposal. Is that correct?
Well, right now it's 2330, and what we're proposing here is 4.95.
Is what?
And then the increase of 4.95, so he will be at 24.45.
So a new guy with no experience would be at 2445 versus the 2330.
Is that?
75% of
Yeah,
This,
fully certified senior operating.
this, Braden Maxwell's been here 4 months, so he's a new guy.
Well, I don't know his experience, so.
None.
Because he had experience. I'm trying to find the entry level. If he's in, then I'm happy. That's all I'm asking.
but you know, we have a small organization. And we have a guy, Andy, here. He's been here 28.3 years. He's at the same rate as Quinn, 9 years. And Quinn is 9.2. Clay is 9.2. Quinn is at 50. So it takes a very special individual to work next to somebody. The same rate, been there 28 years to somebody else. So we do have a difference in pay for seniority, but it's like $70 pay period, something.
Between like service and that's not even $1, I'm not sure now. Maybe
Right,
50
but
cents.
for the pay period.
All the longevity is $2.50 per period, per year.
Well, Andy gets 67.50, but
And the city has something, but this is how it is in this municipal business, in the private sector. My good guys will disappear in a heartbeat if I don't address their skill level. Gosh, yeah, come.
Oh, I was just gonna say with, in regards to Bo's salary, I mean, a part of it. Yes, he's salaried, but he's also paid by Heights Water District. He's not paid by the board. The money's still coming out of Heights Water District. So therefore, it's still coming out of the budget the same way. The board doesn't have money, the district does,
He's not an hourly person.
but it's still budgeted for.
Well, on this, state law dictates that the board hire the general manager. So the general manager, board secretary are hired by the board. The board has no say over the other people.
No.
So they are written. The
That's-
question though is, are you proposing this alternative on this page you just handed out?
Yes, right. I had a talk with Doug, and you know, the latest inflation number, I think the government is doing a pretty good job when the inflation is coming down. But the trend, when we first started talking about this, it was going the other way, and next month is probably something else, but inflation is not 4%. So what we're doing here, I think is very, very reasonable and is consistent with the city. And I think we live in the same kind of community as those, and it's just, my goal was to recognize someone who has the skills and does not need to be supervised. And Josh is our operations guy, and I see him talking to these guys. I mean, they need very little supervision and guidance. And you pay for that. So what's gonna happen is that when we replace these guys, it's gonna cost or take a lot of time. And I always had the back of my mind, how much does it cost to replace you? Okay, so the dollar is one thing, the training is something else. And then 2 years down the road, say, that wasn't really that good of a choice. So people are the most important thing in our business. And we, as a board, you as a board, need to recognize that Heights Water wouldn't be anything without the skill set of these people. So looking at their salary, yeah, that's a very important component. But to me, building their skill, recognize them for the beautiful job they're doing. This is a great operation here, and they're doing great. I've seen them in action. They have a lot of passion. You cannot slip $50 in somebody's paycheck for passion. You have to earn it. You have to earn it. Has nothing to do with your brain or what you know or your money. It's in here, guys. It's in here, and they have it. Okay. One form to recognize is a race. And we can twinkle it back and forth, but that's not the big component. Big component is to stimulate, keep them going, what they're doing. Right, Josh?
Right, I mean. You figured out what the average 10 point something years is what the longevity of the employees.
The average is 10.6. That includes me too. So I mean, the average is way up there. I love that. I love it.
Again, since the recommendation is for the new alternative that just passed out, and we can't vote on something. It's not been put with the notice.
Right, but we have the original one, so we have the original one if you want it.
But management's asking us to pass the alternative.
Right.
Or you can,
That can't be passed. So I move on with it.
We've been waiting on.
I have a question.
I guess I'm with Jeff. I'd like to see the entire package. So that we, and so when you say, people get longevity pay and that adds X number of dollars, and that doesn't show here. I'd like to see what you actually are paid. What we are
You
actually
mean the
paid.
whole benefit package?
I want the benefit package, but also we have a longevity thing that doesn't show up here. So people are getting a different amount, but it doesn't show up. When I gave you the sample from the county, they had, here's the salary, here's the annual salary, and here's the longevity pay, and it listed it by individual. Plus, I want to make decisions on the benefit package and the insurance package, so that we know exactly what each employee is getting. And at some point, we need to talk about it, because I think if you just bring it to a meeting, it's probably not going to pass. It needs to be at a work session, so you have a sense of where the board is at.
Gosh, yes.
I would say with what you have presented, it's not that you can't, you can amend what was presented to what he's proposing now. You can do, it's the same thing you've always done when you've done raises. It, we'd come at you and said, hey, we propose 8%, and then you went back and forth and landed on 3% or whatever it was. That's not what the resolution wasn't written for 3%. It was written for the 8. So you can amend what was presented.
Forward.
Again, I'm gonna remind you, you got 3 guys out there right now that are, they're doing a hell of a job. They deserve the recognition. It's,
But I think the board is sending a clear message, they're overpaid, not appreciated, and that we need to fight for them a little harder than we have. Isn't that correct?
No, the message we're saying is get your agendas prepared correctly, give us the information in time and follow the law. This is on the administration.
Yeah, that's
Yep.
what Josh brought up, the amendment, and that is what this is. This is the proposal. This is an amendment to that proposal. We can act on this. What the hell are we doing here tonight? We're moving everything to September? Hell, I would have stayed home tonight. I got a lot of other things I can do. Name.
Yeah, I agree with you. And I agree with 4.95. If we look at the whole package, we've been going through this for 6 months, maybe a year. We have never actually come down to finally giving them that raise that they want. And I understand, Director Esmond, that you're worried about somebody getting a little bit more health care than the other guy. But you gotta remember, they have families, they got people, some people are single, that's how they decided or determined what they want. But in general, this is what our general manager is saying, this is what the people say, this is right. Now, are we gonna delay this again in September and fight for another 2 months to do this? I think it's time that we get this done. So that's where my vote is, I'm with you.
This is just, we're just dealing now with, salary. We're not dealing with.
But they want to add that into it, they want to add in the whole package. My gosh, we're gonna be.
They can still bring benefits, but this is passed. We can still bring benefits
Absolutely.
forward.
With the discussion we've just had, I'll try a motion. I move that we adopt resolution 022-24, adopting the alternate or amended wage package as presented tonight.
I second.
Which package is that?
Alternate, that was presented tonight,
Okay, the alternate.
and it's retroactive to July 1st, as we always see. That's part of that.
So
That's part of
second,
your second.
Yes, it is.
make a second discussion. Now,
The resolution doesn't say that it's retroactive, and it's a poorly written resolution.
Put it in the motion though.
I know, but the resolution is very poorly done. So there's no history there.
any other comments?
Mr. Chairman,
Dressman.
I'm gonna vote no, but it doesn't mean I don't think the employees deserve to be fairly compensated. I think fairly compensated includes the entire compensation package, which this proposal does not,
Right, this is the way.
despite, repeated suggestions on my part at work sessions and board meetings for 6 months for consideration of the total compensation. I respect the work of these hardworking employees. But I do think, a global approach needs to be taken. That's why I'll do no, not because I'm pushing back or don't respect them, and I resent that is what's suggested tonight.
Meg,
Yeah, I just want to say, if we're taking a look at the benefit package, and I respect your opinion, is the fact that how can you put a dollar figure on healthcare for each and everybody on there? It's almost impossible because everybody has a different situation there. So you're gonna try to reward or try to put that into a dollar amount. I think it's gonna be very difficult. So it's just easier to just give them their raise and let's take a look at that benefit package. Again, if that's what's necessary.
Pam,
I want to reiterate Jeff's comments. Just because we don't agree with what's presented doesn't mean that you can impugn motives. I agree with Jeff completely.
right,
I would like to make an amendment to that motion, and that is to remove general manager from this scale so that it reflects the 4.9% instead of 3.85% raise, so that the people out there know that they're paying 4.95% increase rather than a 3.85.
I suck it.
Agree with. Follow on all that now? Right,
Sure.
discussion on that,
Recorded.
they will vote on the amendment to the amendment first. Do a roll call vote.
Greg,
Yes.
Pam,
No,
Jeff,
Yes.
Ming,
Yes.
Tom,
Yes,
Frank,
Yes,
Doug.
Yeah.
oh, excuse me, I voted yes, I got messed up. I apologize.
All of you?
It
Yes.
was unanimous. That was on the amendment to the amendment. The amendment to the motion.
3.8.
we don't have one amendment on the floor at a time.
But we hadn't passed it.
Well, then we gotta take one off or something.
no, there's a motion to withdraw alternate presented. It's not an amendment, it's a motion to adopt. Not an amendment.
But there was amendment to that,
And we just passed.
and we just passed it
No,
to
there's an amendment.
take votes off of there.
Yeah,
Okay, I said amendment to the amendment, I'm sorry,
been a long night already.
yeah, too long. Okay, now we'll go back
To
to
the motion.
the motion
As amended.
as amended. Roll call again.
Greg,
Yes.
Pam,
No,
Jeff,
No.
Ming,
Yes.
Tom,
Yes,
Frank,
Yes.
Doug.
Yes. Motion carries. And if we could, will you bring us the benefits package? You could tag those on with the payroll.
Yep.
I can rewrite it and I'll submit it to Doug, make sure that it matches.
Okay. Old business. Graves Point Church. I think we need a special meeting tomorrow, August 22nd at 9 o'clock. And this is going to be concerning fire line. Our policies on fire lines. And if we need to change them.
I will not be able.
I will not be able to attend at 9 o'clock. I can probably make 10.
and it violates state law, you've got to give 48 hours notice. On a special kind of meeting,
You wanted me to call it an emergency meeting, we can call it that too, Pam, whatever you want. We're in a time lapse area right now. They are building. We have to have our ducks in a row to do anything,
so then
or
you're,
kiss it goodbye.
so then you're talking about Grace Point Church for a moment.
That affects this. They're
Okay,
both tied together. What we're
So-
talking about tomorrow will be concerning the fire line changes.
and what do you want to
Officially.
change?
Which that'll be tomorrow. We're,
We won't have a quorum again now.
I know,
How many can attend? Four? Yeah.
so can you move it to 10? So that Jeff can attend?
10 a.m.
yeah, we can move it to 10.
I can make 10.
Okay,
Is this gonna be an executive closed session? Or
no, it's gotta be open.
Emergent meeting? Then,
No, it's just a special meeting. The 48 hours is recommended,
just check,
you know,
10 o'clock.
10 o'clock
All right.
tomorrow, 22nd. Second idea or second item under old business, decision on the second meter connection with the city. That's on page 37 and 40 of your agenda package. And where you wanna go over that with us, the short version? We already covered
That's
the long
it's gonna cover us in detail, but that's really how we started it, because I think we were ready to go with a shovel before we discovered the technical. So we have had a number of meetings. And with the city on July 26th, and also system-wide meeting August 13th. Because we were waiting for the EQ to make a decision. So based on the hydraulics calculations, we do not recommend the second meter connection with the city. And well, both Josh and I were a little disappointed on our July 26th meeting with the city, because they kind of advised us not to shut down St. Andrews booster system, one or fire flow. They might not have, I mean, we can't spend $1 million in a questionable hookup. So, and number two, we have had in-furnace working now for 3 or 4 weeks. And we have a field guy out there. Doug, he reported that he had 90 PSI of water pressure at his house. But we were consistently running over 70 PSI. So that's considerably higher than we have been before, at least 10 plus PSI. And we can jack it up even further. And the good news is that the secondary hydraulic calculation showed that it would last longer than the initial thought, the 3 years with a 2% growth. So that will give us 3 years to come up with a solution, a more permanent hookup in that regions. So, and DEQ requires also that we have a long-term plan. And as you know, we are almost 90% done with the engineering work on task order 28. So anyway, my recommendation is, and I think Josh agrees with me, that the second connection wouldn't bring us much bang for the buck as far as pressure, and it very unfortunate.
This board voted to suspend work on passport 28. Only the city second to that. I would like to make a motion that we repeal that and continue with task order 28, so that we do have a 20-year plan. Adequate water pressure throughout the district.
Is there a second on that?
Well, second.
Any discussion? Director Esmond.
Mr. Chairman, this would impose a $12 million expense. If when adopted, assuming there is no grants from the state. You know, pursuing the grants is gonna cost more engineering
They're already
fees.
in place.
You know, it's all gonna cost a lot of money. It's all gonna have to be paid for by debt service. You know, let's be honest, if consolidation would occur in the next 3 minutes, there won't be a need for a double control valve backflow preventer, because the city would be able to connect directly, problem solved. So, you know, I think it's premature to move ahead on a $12 million plan at this point.
That's not correct. You know,
That's my opinion, sir.
right, but it's a wrong assumption, because city or no city, you cannot connect into a zone. You know, that's how it is in other states, and there shouldn't be any
They
difference here.
don't,
It doesn't matter. The ownership doesn't matter for this connection. The ownership does not matter. This is technical.
do they
This
use
is
double
not
control valve
political.
within their own zones?
Yeah, but we're talking about pressure zones, that you have to respect the zones. If you have 2 feeds into a zone, it's not who owns that zone or that zone. If you have 2 connection into a zone, you have to have DCV, double checkup.
Are they
End of
present,
story.
are they present in the city within their zones?
Yeah.
They are.
No,
We
no,
have lots of zones, and
That-
when you put water up to a higher zone, higher elevation, like in the west end, like Ironwood. If that water could come back, it would raise the water pressure down at the treatment plant. There has to be these double valves between higher elevation pressure zones where you pump it up, because you pump it up, you make 100 pounds up at this
Gotcha.
elevation, if it could freak come
I
back,
just,
you got way too much down.
I stand corrected.
I just wanna say that, well, yes, it is a $12 million project, the rate structure that was adopted. Reflects paying for that, that rate structure was developed around paying for that project as well as. Subsequent CIP projects.
That's great.
Yeah, and I believe we did get some help from the state government through grants, like, about 2 years ago, Josh, is that what?
those monies are still available
That-
for
they're
this
still there?
project.
Yes,
That's
They
why,
have been-
we're
the
on
money
the,
is there for the grant.
we're on the intended use program for the SRF.
So
That's
that-
still in place.
And if we don't use it, we lose it, so that's. the
While we
question.
can modify it, we have a plan 5B, we can, and we'll talk more about that later, but the task order 28 can be modified to like the 5A, which was less than $7 billion.
That's correct, yeah, that was sick.
But DEQ requires us having a 20-year plan. Not only that, city or no city consolidate, they have to do the same thing, and we talked about that today with the city, about the Dover project, and they have. So we hope to get together with them to solve that Dover issue. So we would not do anything blindfolded, not let them in on it. We gotta be in concert with this. It's too much money for us to speculate this.
I'd like to make a substitute motion, and that is to put off the connection with the city. As according to the general manager, it's not gonna work, and we can take up the rest of this other one at another time. But we're gonna be here till 10 o'clock otherwise, so.
The substitute motion though should be to adopt resolution 2324 on page 73, which says exactly that. It's in the packet, but it's not in the agenda.
73 and 74.
It's on page 73,
Yeah.
but it's
So
resolution 23-24.
And I can't get to the one on the website.
Okay, my substitute motion is to accept resolution number 023-24.
2-2 or 2?
23-24 on page 73.
Second.
Moved in second. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor of resolution 23-24, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.
Aye.
Show one opposition.
Who's the up? Who's
Me.
Now, the other portion of the motion. Go ahead, that was segregated, so. All right, well, you need a substitute.
It wasn't, it was a
It was
substitute.
So that motion died because the
Some
substitute,
motion's dead, substitute motion passed, that's why I voted no.
but you
The
can still
law
bring it.
requires us to have 20-year plan for the future. We had a 20-year plan with a CIP, part of it was shut down. We no longer have a 20-year plan to have adequate pressure throughout the district as required in state law. And that's what I can't accept. This district has to.
I think we
I
do.
don't think the task order 28 has officially been canceled.
No,
No, what Tom is saying is because the board had
stop.
resolved to stop engineering on task order 28 as far as the transmission main.
Right.
In instead, to go to look into the second meter connection. Now, if the second meter connection is not a feasible option, Tom is saying to rescind that resolution and continue work on the transmission main itself,
Right.
Right.
which
And that is still being.
some of the, to bring up speed on that, we're I guess kind of at that standstill until you say go this way or go that way. We're still waiting on a geotech report to be finished. There, Brad talked with them 2 weeks, or if not 2, 3 weeks. We should have that final geotech report, and that will tell a lot as to what the route would look like.
Director Esper?
Well, and we've, right now, our staff has been pressuring Interstate Engineering to complete the system-wide preliminary and engineering report. You know, I think perhaps at our next work session, they can give us an update about how that effort's going. Perhaps we can resolve this issue finally after we get that full system preliminary and environmental engineering report. It might reveal something that provides a good solution, and then we're good, put it behind us. We're only talking about 3 months.
I like Director Esmond's suggestion, because that way it gives them a solitary focus rather than splitting their attention in different directions. We can take one bite out at a time and get one project
They'll
done
be
and then move on.
bringing different capital improvement projects in. Where they gonna,
Well,
The capital improvement projects are looked at in the system-wide PEO, so that's a portion of
but
it.
just that they update on the system-wide PO, it's not in there.
The report.
The report, yeah, Brad's
No,
report.
What I wrote about the update.
Should be.
Yeah.
It was in
I
there,
wrote another one.
right, it's in there.
Okay, good.
Well, I think that answered my question, what Director Esmond.
okay, Tom?
Well. Getting any environmental work on Northwest bypass, this board has voted to halt. Interstate Engineering cannot give us the work of the ground testing and stuff like that with the resolution we passed to stop all of that.
It says it in the report that they're going to, it's gonna be a month out.
Well, sorry, we already told them we're not gonna pay the bill if they do any work on task order 28. We haven't rescinded that direction. That direction still stands, that 28 stopped, and we connect with the city.
Do you have a copy of that resolution? You need to.
At the gas order, you mean, or?
No, I'll have to,
Resolution stopped.
I don't recall it being that prescriptive.
I didn't
I
know.
don't either.
I think we voted on joining the city, but we didn't vote to stop the task order 28.
Continue with
It's the same resolution. But we have the book of resolutions, so it shouldn't take long.
Yeah.
We go on and then go back. Yes.
Vote it.
No, we got,
Western Municipal, yeah, you wanna explain the solution you guys came up with?
Yeah, we contacted them about the discrepancy of the use, the square footage of asphalt, sidewalk and that sort of thing. And, they billed us for like 740 square feet of asphalt. And, that was more than twice of what they had estimated, 230. Now, we measured it up. We went and figure out how much did they actually use. And we came up with 335 square feet. Now, based on industry standard, when you do this kind of work, you have an 8-foot wide section by 15 deep. I think what happened with,
there isn't a resolution. I think what happened was we had a resolution on the table in January, February. But it was never acted on. We'll have to look in the minutes, but I remember the discussion about stopping it, but I don't. But I think at the time, because there wasn't a whole lot of work being done as far as, there was no design work being done. It was all preliminary
That was
engineering.
the discussion.
That was,
And, yeah.
and I don't believe there was a resolution on the table, but I don't believe it actually passed. I don't have a signed copy of any resolution, so we can review.
I think your memory's correct. But we'll have to look. You're right.
So we were over there measuring it, basically, and Josh and Clay and we looked and measured up the asphalt sidewalks, the curb. And based on what I saw is that they used the wrong piece of equipment when they did the connections. They were much wider than they needed to be. And I think Clay said they didn't use the, what do you call it, you drop down.
Trent box.
Yeah. So you have to dig a deeper trench to do it.
Wider for OSHA purposes.
And what happens, of course, is, say you're gonna use more asphalt on the top when you close it out. So 8 by 15 should have been the standard. Or about 173 square feet. In addition, they say, I'm quoting them, that the quantity of final asphalt reflects the removal and replacement of asphalt as directed by the city of Billings and Performance Engineering during the pre-paid sidewalk. We weren't there. So the city and Performance Engineering made some decision on our behalf. So any quote, any job we farm out, we can't have third party act on our behalf if we're going to pay for it. So that's a quote out of their letter. So they billed us for pavement surface. They're 93% greater than the quote estimate. So rather than going into all the gory detail, there were issues, a lot of issues on the sidewalk and the curb too. But what I like to propose, we're talking about 4 items where they kind of overcharge us. The concrete sidewalk, the driveways, the asphalt, and the utility crossing. About 94,000, the bid was 44,000 for those 4 items. So if we split the difference, it would be about 30,000. So the new proposed total for those items would be 64 rather than 34. This would lower the current bill or invoice they have of $330,000. About 30,000, or it'll be about 6.6% higher than the bid. Now, this would not include the $9,000 that we are assessing the late fee. So what's the advantage here? Well, we hire an attorney doing this and that and delay it. It's gonna cost us money. Do we wanna nip the relationship with these people? Do we wanna upset it, the relationship with the city? And I don't know. But from a business standpoint of view, I like the idea of moveon.com. It's gonna cost us 6.6. The work was clearly done. I mean, measuring it all up, it was done. It was just not done according to our specs. So what are our specs? What is it we asked for this job? The city got involved in it, the Performance Engineering got involved in it, and we're the low man on the totem pole. And you know what happens to those people? They just have to pay. It doesn't matter how we scream about this. It's not gonna be a happy ending.
How many square feet of asphalt replacement did you say?
We calculated our
How much
portion.
did they charge us for? These square feet?
They charge us for
740.
That's what
Square
their
yard.
final bill, the square yard.
Square yard.
No square yards.
Yeah,
Where's that?
and that's 530 square yards more than they bid. Okay, so it's 252% higher, so serious wrong, so.
And I
they-
think that's, we figured that an additional 350 would have been justifiable, but not.
Yeah, we measured the, 335, based on industry standard of the 8x15, and it was 13.
There's a lot of money.
It should have been less than 200, so, I mean, the whole deal, it was not good. But nobody in the beginning described what good is.
Well, when you have a quote, if it's gonna go over 10% higher than what they quoted, somebody better be talking.
Right. But I think that this is a reasonable settlement, because the job is clearly done, the asphalt is there, the sidewalks, and I think it looks pretty good. So paying 6.6% more, I personally have no problem with it.
We'll start at the end, work this way. Dr. Asman.
Oh. Question for the general manager, is the contractor agreeable to that, your proposed settlement, and would they have the ability to charge performance engineering and the city for the balance? Since they got the direction from them under your proposal.
Well, they can do whatever they want. We're just saying, hey, clearly the job was, we didn't ask you to do this job. This is not how it's done. This is not the standard. And as far as when I was over there, they used a pretty large excavator, Josh, to get those service lines. He had what, a 3 or 4 foot wide scoop when he.
They still could have made an 8-foot wide trench, which they may very well have done an 8-foot wide trench, but however, the asphalt was marked out was well over 8-foot replacement.
So, I mean, it was 13, 17 feet, and so at least 50 to 100% wider. And I'm not a pro at this stuff, but it looked like it was overkill on the equipment. I saw the guy, he was very good, very fast, but overkill.
Kidding me?
I was just questioning what they would accept 6.6%. Or what do you think, where are you at with that, Bo?
Well, I don't care. I don't care. This is our best offer. Hey, this is reasonable.
We gotta meet, we're gonna have to meet with Terry, and most likely we'll have to have you. And
But when you dance 3 people, that's not a good idea. It never works right. And it was done from the beginning, you know, the way the contract and we need to have, and this is what I'm writing in my little memorandum here, is that in the future, we should have contracts not to exceed an X amount. And if it does exceed, the proposal has to be amended in writing, not verbal, because they refer to verbal commands here. We're not gonna pay for any verbal commands on the field. It's gotta be in writing. And we can't have third party represent us in these deals. I mean, it's insane. So the deal was bad.
Great.
I have a couple comments, since first, I used to do a lot of pre-construction meetings. When these projects come up, the owner sits down, the engineer, the contractor, you discuss the contract. That can save a lot of problems.
Right.
In writing is an absolute good idea. Second, when it comes to, I've been around these folks, mobilization, the equipment they brought in may have been all they had.
they
Because
used what was there.
because in the spring, they're out on jobs already. This may have been the only thing they could come up with on an emergency basis to help. So there's a lot of questions with this. I would not do the late fee. Because in my experience with late fees, they're gonna come back with every delay that took place and extend that date out. if they had rain delay, snow delay, material delay, whatever, they keep documentation, very good records. And they're gonna come back and they're gonna push that date out. And I would say, since they responded to an emergency request, that we just not even bring that one up. And then we try to do what Bo was
Yeah,
suggesting.
they were actually done in their time
Yeah.
frame. Tom, you had a question?
Well, I'm still dumbfounded on what we do if, Western Municipal says, no, we want the full amount. You go to court. I know the $30,000, we can't go to court with $8,000, please, don't print that.
I think you probably can.
Is, the city is doing more. And wants to change our water line. It wants us to pay the bill for changing the water line. I don't want to sign an agreement with the city to do that after this fiasco where the city's changing it all. If that water line gets changed, it's a contract solely between us and the contractor. That excludes the city 100% for the simple fact that we get into the city's coming up with requests. No. We'll hire a contractor to be prescribed.
We already have one, just so you're aware. They're gonna complete that project down there, and the city is going to do it.
That was already a bid
Yeah.
item. They gave us their number. That was the all-in, that was the all-in
But that's
price.
a difference though, because they're going to do it according to our specs, correct?
Yeah, it's all,
And no
Talking with-
material or anything, so.
Right, so. Lesson be learned.
Right.
When you have a contractor working for you. Anything over and above contract, you need a change order.
Right.
Change orders have to be signed and finished up before they go further. I remember in this room. And I think Western was here, somebody's here, and it was stuck, we're gonna pull all those lines in. So. Lesson be learned. This was a place where cost outweighed the benefits because all those services were 20 years newer.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm so tough on
No,
that change is because we have to have the cost. Or the benefits far outweigh the cost because 34% of a project and we have 48. Miles of pipe that we might need to get replaced. We can't be doing that. That's 34% added on top of all that. It's a tough go. So
I agree.
I don't know if we need a motion. Oh, excuse me, Jim.
Well, he's proposing that we authorize him to settle it. I would like him to give us an exact number, and I think we should have a motion.
I believe that he has that number.
no, I think what's gonna end up having to happen is. Bo and Doug and probably a representative from the city. He's probably Tyler, the engineer, and then be Craig, the engineer from performance. Probably all gonna have to sit down and. Or either meet on site and justify the quantities. And then go from there as to who's paying for what, but that would have all parties involved.
Well, I think if the board says we're gonna pay X, that provides a stop. And gives you guys some negotiating leverage, saying this is what the board approved.
Yeah, and we're good, and we know it anyway.
Yeah, no,
Yes, so.
saying it's
What
probably
is the number?
Okay, so it's, you want the number here, it's $330,655.78.
That's the current.
Less. Got less $30,154.52.
And that is,
That equals what?
Well,
I don't have my calculator. I wrote it this way.
no,
It'd be about $300 to get the sand.
$300,501.26.
What was it?
301,000.
300,000. 501. 26 cents.
300-501-26.
And that's what I got when I did it in my head, so,
You got the same?
yeah. Fortunately, there's no carrying involved.
Now it's go up for both.
Three.
300,501.26. Is there a motion on the floor to submit that payment as initially written as the payment? Director Espen,
I move the board approve a payment to Western Municipal of $300,501.26.
is there a second?
I'll second that.
Second.
Right, I'd like to make an amendment to that motion that says that whoever from our board and the general manager, whoever. When we pay them and if they meet with them, they have the ability to negotiate. An upward price if that needs to be to get the slate wet clean. It ain't going down.
Well, yeah. Excuse me.
That $9,000 is in there, right?
Yeah, and I
think that's gonna get thrown out. So,
Well, if they accept the offer, perhaps we can throw it out, if they accept the offer, but the idea up front. Tell them, hey, forget this. So we can use that as a negotiation tool.
Leverage.
Yeah.
I think my motion
covered it.
does not need any amendment in
Okay,
terms of future discussions.
There's no
So
second.
the manager can always come back.
Is there a se-
I'd already seconded it. Did
any
I?
further discussion?
Yes.
Second.
I seconded your motion, if I was.
Just one. The contract called for substantial completion. Substantial completion is defined as when all contracting is done. Asphalt is in the contract. It wasn't done at 25.
It is,
And it's a contractual piece that they were gonna do, cement and asphalt.
it is defined in their contract. What substantial completion is.
yeah, and it's an industry term too, it's a little different than
It's not.
you would think.
Temporary water installation and removal.
Yeah.
So it's a little different than what you would think it is.
Any other discussion? Seeing none, all in favor of the motion to cut a check for 300,501.26 Western Municipal. Please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries unanimously. Okay, Moda. I've already do this quickly.
Yeah, well, believe it or not, we just got an email here a couple of hours ago. Saying that, yes, we can work with the small numbers of incidents that you have. We have some 281, and only, like I mentioned, 4.3% are the main. And 51%, 144 cases are the service line. And they just got back to us. This is very typical for a small water utility, where you really, some of the problems shows up elsewhere. To make it short and sweet here, what VODA needs is the pipe data and the GIS. And we should have that completed shortly.
Well, some of the stuff that they're asking for, we don't have in the GIS. That's stuff that still needs to be,
Right.
our GIS program is pretty much just a skeleton at this point. That needs to be fleshed out.
How long is it, Mr. Chairman? Good question for Josh. How long is it gonna take them to do that?
It depends on what level, how involved you would like the GIS people to get with it. Like Jason said, there's a couple of CIP projects that are lined out that were geared towards dealing with this. And it would be, we have, what did they say? 70,000 attributes, and of that, like,
Right, but for this system to work,
But
we
there's-
only need pipe size, when it was put in the ground, and we don't need all of that.
no, and but that's stuff that they're still gonna have to populate into that system, and
Right,
we have to tell Jason what we want, and then he can tell us how, depending on the level of work involved, how long it will take.
so the problem here is you would think that we know what type size pipes we have and how old they are. And I located some of those old books and I contacted the engineering outfit that was doing the work back then. And they just do not have that in an electronic format. So unfortunately, this VODA is really no good to us at this point, because the information we will feed into it reflects on the quality coming out, so fussy in, fussy out. So I do not recommend that we do anything at this point until the GIS system, not the whole,
No,
but when it comes to the pipe, the age and that sort of thing. And so Josh, we gotta come back to it because we do not know. We do not know.
we know, sorry, go ahead, Jim.
Well, by my math, if 51% is service line and 4% is main, there's 45% unaccounted for that distribution lines.
No, I can give you that. So the number one is service line, 51%, curb stop 28, valves 10%, main 4.3, hydrants 2.8. Bonnement, what we give up on some line, I guess, 1.4, blow off 0.7, unknown 0.7. So we just got the information back from VODA and said, yes, we can work with you. Well, yes, we want the job, but it doesn't take a brain surgeon to figure out what are you going to achieve with this quality information. I know AI, they're artificial intelligence, and they take the environmental factor, they have other case stories. And I have talked to some of the people up in, I don't know if I mentioned this to you, that have R-type pipe, AC pipe. And they went through this and they were very happy with it. They had about 200 miles pipe. And the feedback I got was the number one issue they had was not the larger diameter, it was the 6-inch AC. And the big thing I was so surprised about is 12-inch PVC pipe. That's where they had a problem. We don't, but you got to talk to people, learn, and deduct and add. But they gave us a little heads up about the pipe. Now, what I understand, from Josh too, is that the AC pipe we used had a very large wall thickness.
It's a heavier class.
So we might have borrowed some time, so we might not have to do it just now, next 3 years, spending all sorts of money. I suggest a more tempered and dig up the hot spots and really look at the pipe and see what the issues are. So we might have more time. That's the good news. We might have more time than we think.
Right, so how about Ecologic?
Yeah.
Makes sense to have them come down and
Yeah.
we pick
We,
certain areas that we want them to test and see what they come up with.
They still want some of the same information. as voted, some of that saying that pipe age, diameter, material.
Yeah, but it's a different technology, it's not.
Yeah, they're,
Yeah, so the scenarios are a little different. As far
It
as,
would be a sampling effort
right,
in different
Right.
locations, as I understood.
but substantially more expensive, right?
I think he quoted $30,000 for how much it was, 3 miles or something like that.
Yeah, this is
I mean,
28,000 for everything.
But
So,
we can break that up into
Yeah,
100-yard sections, so we can take a sampling all over the whole. But we gotta have some idea of what we got underground.
correct.
Right,
We gotta do something, we just can't sit here and go, well, we can wait 3, 4, or 5 years before we do anything, and then all of a sudden we start having problems.
no, and that's, I don't. And
And I
that's what
think-
he's just saying, like, you know. It's not like we have to get it done yesterday, but no, we should start planning for next week, right? But we have what Voda wants, kind of what the minimum data sets that they're looking for. So we can start putting that stuff together, and it's just, a lot of it's the same stuff that
Yeah.
that Mike Yuki was looking for with Ecologic.
Morrison Merrily is working on the GIS,
No, sir,
correct? Or not?
interstate engineering, that's one of ours. And
Well, the question is, I mean, we can't get a decent preliminary environmental review done until we get a analysis of the integrity of the pipe.
Exactly right.
So, you know, we're just, if they drag their feet on preparing, on, you know, getting that data, so it's adequate for us to develop a PER, we're never gonna get a damn PER.
But, John, my understanding of the GIS is very much done for what we need to do this pipe.
there was some stuff that needs to be input into the,
Right, but it was not.
we're not talking like a year-long
No,
thing to.
no, it's,
Now that we have what kind of specific stuff, I
Yeah.
can talk with Jason and say, this is what we need. How long is it gonna take to get?
Can you bring that to the work session? Next,
I can try, I can see, yeah, try and,
considering the desire of some board members to resolve this Northwest Transmission Line question, which is gonna depend upon resolving the preliminary environmental review system-wide. It needs to, you know. They need to find some resources, maybe things are slow over in North Dakota, you know.
Yes. Management, look at artificial intelligence, to come up with. Pipe inspection, then that is failing. Like Bo said. Not enough information to collect about. Can we get Ecologic, can we get the administration to do the same with Ecologic and their system? As was done with Voda, to see if we have the information to give them where they can come do some spot checking and give us some ideas of our system. I mean, they're not gonna have every inch, there's no way we can afford to do every inch. If, I'm frankly, if we can do some spot checking, get some ideas, but do we have enough information to even use Ecologic? Maybe they need more voting needs, can we find out?
I think with ecological, the technology is different. So they don't rely as much on the data. Input, they don't rely as much on
Physical test.
Yeah, so it's a little different from the artificial, it's all about the input of the data and all that, and they take in the environmental and this and that. While ecologic is more of the physical thing, so the technology is different, therefore it's a lot more expensive as well, so. But the end game here is, where do we start digging this pipe, where, and what end of the service area? And they can find that out.
Right. Was any of this pipe put in before 60?
1963,
1960?
63 is when we started.
It's a generation 2 AC pipe. Because pre-60 is when they had the most problems with it. Because the generation 2 is supposed to be better, so we should be all with the generation two, but we still need to get some picture. We're underground, what we got going on, like Jeff says, we can't get a PER done unless we have some idea what's underground.
Correct. So now, everybody's interested in it, so. What I read out of all the studies that have been done on the, AC pipe is. That most of them, they're not longer than 50 years. They don't know what happens to them. And in some cases, they have total failure, which means they collapse. And I hope that's not the case, pipe. Over 60 years old. And it's very tempting to go and dig up the section and see what we found in the worst area where we have the most issues. And I think Josh knows of some areas where we have some issue, or we know the pipe is a little soft, a little crazy. And it's at one point to another, the earth will kind of support the pipe. It's scary.
Have you talked to this Mike Unity?
Yes.
So he lives in Belgrade.
Yeah.
You can invite him down here, take him out to lunch and pick his brain as much as you want,
Yeah, no, he's a good guy.
cause he's close.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of these people live out of state, but he's close.
Part of the issue is that a lot of these guys do not have experience with AC pipe. And
Well,
that's,
when he came to talk to us, it seemed like he's done AC pipe.
But he couldn't do P.
He couldn't do PVC, but
yeah,
when Josh says that they got 3 and 4 foot sections where they put valves in, he says as long as he knows that that section's there, he can work around that part of it, so. It would behoove you to have him
Yeah.
come down and actually.
Well-
Well, as much information as you can on it and find out.
no, I have talked to him a number of times.
So are you gonna, would you be able to bring us that information for our September meeting?
The GIS, the,
You know, whether you have enough information to move forward with either one of these companies.
The logic.
yeah,
And your recommendation if we should move forward with either one of them, or
Well, he says, well,
Well-
we can't right now anymore.
Right. Right now, I think Josh and I, we need to get timeline on GIS. Why? Because they all kind of require it. I mean, we gotta know what we have in the ground before we start working. And I mean, it seems obvious.
That work session would be 2 weeks from now.
September 4th.
Yeah,
and we can move that back. Also,
Josh, don't you think we should have the
No,
We will
GIS?
have a little better idea
Yeah,
next,
following week.
by the regular board meeting, September board meeting, we should have.
and that's part of the system-wide PR as
Yeah,
well.
and that's, I'll
I mean,
get
it's
on
a-
the horn with them tomorrow.
Yeah, at that point, there's only a month before the PER results are back due, so. I don't see how they make October.
Yeah.
I'll be honest with you with that.
So the answer is that we will have hopefully timeline of GIS. And we will have a recommendation for which company to proceed with. We felt that Voda would have been the most cost effective and the quickest way to do this. But based on the data they need, which is, it would not be a good investment. So we will have a better proposal on September 4th.
Quick look at our CIP, we have 2 projects, number 11 and number 13, that deal with upgrading GIS and stuff. For a grand total of $840,000 to get a full GIS. Now, we can't get that done in 2 weeks. We can't get that done in 6
No,
months.
it's close.
These are major projects.
Right.
So we got to do what we can do. And we need this Ecologic to show us what they can do. Maybe they can't do any more than Kubota. But we got to find out what they can do. In my opinion.
keep dancing around the CFD project and not getting any of them done. That is not a good deal.
No. No.
And, I would really think our engineering firm would advise us to which one we need to start up.
I suggest that the other option is going and digging a pipe. How much would we need to replace to get an accurate idea of that pipe, 20 feet, one step? We need more or less, you wanna dig up a 4 foot piece and take a 4 foot piece of pipe out, say, well, this pipe looks this way, it's here. What
Yes,
do we need?
probably not.
20-foot evaluation of different digs.
Well, right now, like I said, we have 3 servicemen, so that's not really a feasible plan either.
No, we need, guy like this from Mueller or somebody's advice. And then contract it out to replace a section. And I think the thinking there is, does the city need to replace some other stormwater line or sewer line? And we can save some money by doing it with them. But anyway, we will have a better answer by next
We'll be
work
back
session.
on our, agenda for next month, along with half of the agenda that we have today. So we move sideways and not forward. Reminder again, tomorrow morning, 10 o'clock, in boardroom here, fire line changes. And charges, anything else before the board? If not, meeting will adjourn.
Hey, we got 5 minutes to like there. Everything close to 1 o'clock.